Good afternoon. I hope you're doing well. Today I'm going to describe to you your Task 2 project. Now, this is being recorded for all of my courses, and so there might be a few minor differences between what is required depending on if you're elementary or secondary ed, undergrad, or MAT. But basically, we're going to all be doing the same project. So let's get started. So the purpose of this assignment is not to torture students. I know it seems like it is. But the purpose of this assignment is to increase your awareness of the demands of the EdTPA Task 2. Now, as you're beginning this journey into the EdTPA world, it's very easy to get a little overwhelmed. So what I like to do is kind of introduce you and give you some experience with each task. Also, EdTPA Task 2, there are some best practices, teaching best practices that are emphasized in Task 2, and you need to be aware of those because that's how you'll be scored. And after we kind of get aware of what's going on, then you're going to apply that. So the purpose of this activity is to help you identify these best practices and then plan for them and practice them. And while doing that, you're going to be applying these Task 2 demands, which means you're going to be video recording. So let's get started talking about step 1. In step 1, you're going to watch this video and take notes and put that in the Dropbox. Now, that might not be the assignment for all of my groups. However, you should be checking to see if it is your assignment. The next step, you're going to get out your handbook. And you'll find that handbook on D2L. And if you do not, you need to let me know and I'll help you find it. But you're going to find your handbook and you're going to open it up. And you should read it. And then you're going to find rubrics 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now, when you get these, you're going to look very carefully at these rubrics and see there's level 3, 4, and 5 on each rubric. So here's rubric 6, 7, 8, and 9. Each have a level 3. Now, level 1 and 2 aren't as desirable as 3, 4, and 5. So you're going to be focusing on what's on level 3, 4, and 5. You're going to go through, and what I would do is that I would, if you've got a paper copy, which would be great, then you should highlight important words. If not, you need to be taking careful notes. And then from those rubrics, try to describe what you believe are best practices from that rubric. For example, rubric 6 mentions that the candidate, which is you, links prior academic learning and links personal, cultural, or community assets. So that means that you have somehow made your lesson to the students relevant to prior knowledge, and you've also made it relevant to their lives. So that's how you're going to go through each, and you're going to pick that out. You're going to make a list. Now, this is not necessary. I'm not going to look at this and grade the quality of your response on this list. Once you've made this list, then in your groups the following week in class, our synchronous online class, what you'll do is discuss this and come up with good terms or talk about what they might look like. You want to make a list and put them in the Dropbox. Bring it to class. Step 3. In step 3, you're going to open the coding sheet. So the coding sheet is in a shared folder, and there's a link on D2L, and you're going to start listing. So 6.3, so that's rubric 6, level 3. 6.4 is rubric 6, level 4, and this is rubric 6, level 5. You describe the indicator, all the things that should be, and so maybe you come up with some specific codes. So like a piece of evidence that shows respect would be then 6.3 RE. So here's where you put down the teacher behavior that would demonstrate it and student behaviors that would be an indicator. Now, sometimes we're not looking for student behaviors. Sometimes we're not looking for teacher behaviors, but here I've got the example of 6.3 MR. So an example of mutual respect would be having sentence stems in discussion. So like, for instance, if I gave my students sentence stems, something like they would say, I like how you, and so when they responded to another student's work, they would use that stem to help them in being respectful in a discussion. And so student behaviors would be a student saying, I like that answer. That would be mutual respect. So you can come up with other ways to code if you want to, but each of the behaviors that you look for, you want to code for rapport, respect, mutual respect. I didn't make one for low risk. I just made one for positive environment. But so you make your own codes. Now you're going to take that coding sheet and this assignment description, and you're going to talk to your mentor about it. So you're going to talk about, tell them what all you're looking for to get evidence of in a 20-minute tops, no longer than 20-minute recorded lesson. And it doesn't have to be a whole lesson. So it's just really the activity part or the discussion part. It's the part where you're really talking with the students. So 15, 20 minutes top. Not the full thing, because this is not about instruction, direct instruction. This is about the engagement with the students. So talking about an activity that you can do, it can be virtual, synchronous, or face-to-face. And then you need to identify that activity and topic and a possible recording date. And then you'll need to also tell me whether it's going to be virtually or face-to-face. And of course, that might change because we are in a situation where things are changing constantly. You also have to think about when it's due. So for elementary, I think this is due around, it has to be completed between like October 11th and October 23rd. And for secondary, I think it's during the first 2 weeks of November. You're responsible for knowing when it's due. So you need to check D2L for that. And then thinking about the mode. If you're going to be doing a face-to-face setting, you need to reserve a camera. Now, downstairs in Wharf Pickle, down there where you've got, I'm put myself on this screen right there. That's funny. That's pretty hilarious. So, downstairs in Wharf Pickle on the second floor, you're going to find the ETRC, Educational Technology Resource Center, where the wonderful Tammy Baker and Nick Papworth are. And they're going to help you reserve a camera. Now, you can't go in and say, give me a camera for tomorrow, because that's rude. And you can't be demanding. If you want a camera for October 22nd, you need to let them know at least a week in advance. At least a week in advance. So also you need to, if you're going, even if it's going to be face-to-face or if you're going to be using a Zoom recording, then you need to make sure that you get permission. And this link right here takes you to our web page on College of Ed, and it shows you right down here. We've got the digital form, like a form you can print, and they got the Spanish versions. Okay. And so after you record, after you decide what you're going to record, when you're going to record and all that, you got your activity, then you're going to take the coding sheet and you're going to start doing what I call scripting. So thinking about each of your codes. This is what so you just think about the chronology of the lesson. First, I'm going to say, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to say that. This is what I hope the students might do or say. And then code it. Now, not everything will have a code. Some stuff, you're passing out papers. That's not a code. But you want to make sure you get as many of those codes as possible. Now, we'll be working on this in class together, so you'll have some support, and it may seem a little confusing now, but that's okay. It is not something you've done before, so it should be just a little bit. There's my poodle. Now, you're going to record your lesson. You're going to record it either in Zoom or face-to-face, and once you've recorded it, you're going to upload the link onto the shared folder that we have, and then you'll share the link to the folder into D2L, and you'll share it with a partner. Again, we'll talk more in detail about that later. After that, after you have shared your link with your partner, you're going to use the coding sheets that you've created and the actual rubrics 6 through 9, which are in task 2, and you're going to give feedback to your partner. Now, the feedback that you gave goes into your Dropbox, so you're responsible for giving high quality feedback. So you could do a really, really terrible job on the recording, but if you give good feedback to somebody, you're going to do well on this assignment. So a lot of it depends on not the quality of what you end up doing with this recording. Most of it has to do with how well you plan, how well you think it through, the scripting, and then the feedback you give each other. And then you'll be done. You'll be just like a cake. You'll be done. Finished. Fini. And I think you'll get a lot out of this. You may be thinking, what on earth is she doing? But by next semester, when you do task 2, I think you'll realize that you'll be glad that you did this assignment. I hope you have a good day.